damn it, nothing to do. Fucking TV doesn't even... Damn it, come on, plug me in, man. Give me a fucking signal. God damn it. Unbelievable, come on. God. Fuck. Come on, plug me into the ozone, baby, come on. Come on.
What's up, you soggy cereal lovers?
Oh, God.
We're back with another movie podcast, this time hosted by yours truly, Trevor. And with me today that was Gigi. You wasted your intro. And there's Hannah.
Oh, yeah.
And there's Kyle.
You betcha.
And just like we said last time, we are doing Fargo this time. So we are going to jump right in with the questions.
You're not gonna
No.
do like a summer?
Yeah, I guess I'll do a summary.
I guess.
I guess.
Okay, reading off the synopsis, or I guess the movie info, because I don't have I don't own the movie, so this is just movie info, which I believe was on the Rotten Tomatoes website. So it says, Fargo is a reality-based crime drama set in Minnesota in 1987. Jerry Lundgaard is a car salesman in Minneapolis who has gotten himself into debt and is so desperate for money that he hires two thugs to kidnap his own wife. Jerry will collect the ransom from her wealthy father, paying the thugs a small portion and keeping the rest to satisfy his debts. The scheme collapses when the thugs shoot a state trooper.
Dun dun dun!
Yeah, dun dun dun. Going back to my little notebook, this movie was released in theaters March 15th, 1996. So it's a little older, but
Not that old.
yeah, not that old, but on the scope of cinema as a whole, it's pretty recent, I guess. But I don't think the newer generation of people would have seen it unless they go out of the way to watch it. Or, they saw the TV show
TV show, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and liked it and like, hey, I didn't know there was a movie, so yeah. But let's jump right in because these tend to take a long time.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm having my
Oh, heck of a lot of time, don't you know?
Oh, yeah. Okay, question number 1. Do you think the film worked? Why or why not?
Are we going in any particular order?
Do you guys want to go alphabetical? Or do you want me to start?
You
Trevor.
should be last since it's your...
Yeah.
Okay.
Might as well just go alphabetical.
And then-
at that point.
After that, alphabetical?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I said you go last since it's your movie.
Oh, go last. I think I said go first.
No, because I'm pretty sure you would have...
Okay, we'll go.
Fine! Okay.
She's still playing her game. Like, okay, don't go, Trevor.
Well, I was... Anyways. So I put kind of. I just going off of the style of how it was, I guess, edited, is like your typical 90s serial killer documentary, TV documentary. I was trying to think of like a show, like a name of a show, and 60 minutes came to mind, but that's not the right one. But like pretty much where they go through and they're like, this was your typical American wife, and like, goes into her daily life, and then all of a sudden she gets kidnapped or she's killed or something. I feel like that's the style that this film was in, and like being that it's from the 90s, I guess it fits. I don't think it aged like well, editing wise. But if that was what they were going for, then good job. Also, I didn't like the weird side stories or like the really short I don't know, shots that they did. Like, for example, for me, like the sex scenes, like I was like, is that like necessary? It was like 3 seconds. and then black
Hey,
screen, and then
it's
I'm
the
just
90s.
sitting there. And I was just like,
It helps with the plot.
Sex always sells.
I was not interested. I was not buying that.
Okay.
Good thing it was short.
Yeah. Well, that was just me.
Okay, Hannah.
For me, it's also a kind of, but it's for a different reason. I think from what I noticed about the movie, it's very intentionally uninteresting. It just the plot moves kind of like to me what I read is sort of like a police report where you get the facts about each of the characters, but they don't give you enough to be invested in any of the characters. So I think the fact that everything about what's going on is so like mundane and uninteresting works because the entire plot of the movie is so bizarre. There's like a juxtaposition there, and it like kind of works for me because it's like, you know, you have all these boring elements, all these boring sort of characters, but you know, the fact that this guy is trying to, you know, basically sell his wife into kidnapping and then get her back for some more money is
Yeah.
like the most bizarre thing you could think of. You're like, what, who would actually do that? And the fact that it's like based on a true story is even more bizarre. So I think it works for me in that sense, but I also think just on a deeper level that it worked for me because of the framing of the shots. So I noticed in the framing of everything, it kind of represented the relationships of the characters to each other. And a lot of the characters are shot in single shots. There's like a few exceptions with like Margie and Norm, and like Shep is in with Jerry a couple times, but for most of the movie, everything's shot one-on-one, which kind of puts like a disconnect between all of the characters, except for the ones that they want you to, you know are associated with each other or in a relationship with each other, and it kind of makes everything isolated. One of my favorite examples of it was when Jerry is talking on the phone to the audit guy who keeps trying to get the numbers for the cars sent through. His patience has run out. He says something like that. When the frame is originally on Jerry, it moves back, and the camera moves past his blinds, and it looks like he's almost in jail. And it's kind of an interesting shot because it's a single shot of him behind these blinds that are, you know, sort of representing that he's kind of trapped in his current situation, and he's kind of dug himself a deeper and deeper hole.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of elements like that in the movie that made it work for me. Just like, I think what I said is, overall, the apathetic nature of the dialogue and plot makes the overall story's bizarre nature truly stick out. And the framing of a lot of the shots helps with that. So, yeah.
Cool. For me, I think it did work. I think this movie's kind of right up my alley. Never seen it before until this podcast. So it was my first time watching it, and I've always been a fan of sort of like this dark humor and humor when it's maybe not expected or not I don't know, warranted. but in this film there's a lot of that, and I think that's what really helps me, I guess, sort of like make these characters, some of the bad ones, more human to me. Because when you add humor to it, it's like not everything's so serious and not everything's so like, I don't know, straightforward. So I did like the dynamic between Steve Buscemi's character and the other guy. I don't remember his name either. What was it?
Peter Stormare.
Yeah, that's the actor. I don't remember the character name. Gare? something
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
like Gare, Carl and Gare.
Carl and Gare. So I like their dynamic. It did kind of surprise me towards the end of the movie when one of them killed the other, but
Yeah.
we'll get to that. And then I liked how, like at the beginning of the movie, wasn't it kind of took me a while to understand what was happening. I didn't quite get it until the two criminals actually abducted Jerry's wife. And then I was like, oh, now I get it. But like, it took me a minute to really understand what was going on. I also thought it was hilarious when like she was just sitting there knitting, and then she sees him walk up to the freaking deck, and he's
Yeah.
obviously a bad guy about to break into her house, and she just sits there. And then as soon as it happens, then she's like, oh shit.
For like an instant, I was just kind of like, just maybe like you know how movies go from like one scene or like one location to the other, and I was thinking maybe they were at the wrong house,
Oh,
and
maybe.
she was seeing it happening to the neighbors, and I was like, wouldn't you call the cops? Like,
Yeah.
let's go to your neighbor's house, and then they broke in, and I was like, oh shit, they're at her house.
Yeah.
See, I also think that helps support the point I made earlier about everything intentionally being uninteresting. Like,
Hmm.
she's sitting there knitting and she sees this guy, and this
Yeah.
town is like so uninteresting that, she's not expecting him to just break through. So by the time he does like start breaking through, she's like, oh crap.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
like, oh.
kind of like that.
Like, oh yeah, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that moment of like, well, I think Hannah just hit the nail on the head. Like nothing interesting ever happens.
Hmm.
So I think it's more of like this isn't really happening, is it? Like
Yeah.
she's just kind of sitting there in disbelief. Like, I mean, there's not a person out there just waiting to get in.
Hmm.
And then it's only
Oh
when he
yeah,
breaks
there
the
is.
window, shattering her reality.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there were definitely a lot of moments in that movie. I think the humor for me really helped make the movie good for me. I think overall the story was very intriguing, but I liked what Hannah said about how it's sort of the plot is sort of played out as like a police report. Because like
Yeah.
a lot of
Makes
these
sense.
characters, with the exception of Carl and Marge.
Gare.
No, Marge. I liked Marge a lot. Those two are kind of. I feel like they're more fleshed out as characters and they're interesting. But the rest of the cast is really kind of just there. But there's something about them that makes you care enough to be there and to watch the movie. And then obviously, I think the story was really intriguing too, and it was definitely unorthodox and kind of out there. But I thought it was a really good plot overall, and it definitely worked for me.
Okay, so for me, I think it did work. It took a genre and did it completely differently. I think movies up to that point, like especially for like crime movies, where whether you're focusing on the police side or whether you're focusing on the criminal side, like they're all trying to one up each other, like more action, more shooting, more violence, more whatever. And this is a movie in that genre, which it actually had like several genres where there's like a little bit of like heartwarming scenes. There's some, mystery. There's some shooting,
Hmm.
um, but it didn't try to outdo anybody. Like Hannah said, it just took like this normal everyday thing and presented it as is. Like didn't try to um, embellish anything, and that's why I think it worked because it was so different from what you would normally see.
Yeah.
Um, uh, yeah, so like the villains completely incompetent. Like the fact that they captured Jean just by pure luck, really.
Yeah.
She had a fucking shower curtain draped over her head and fell down the stairs, and they caught her that way. Like they, Carl thought she jumped out the window, and then Gare was just he was getting his unguent, or looking for it because he got bit on the hand. So like there was no like elaborate heist. There was no like decent planning. This was all just like by the skin of your teeth, pure luck that any of this shit happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so, with that in mind, I think also the setting itself kind of became a character of its own. Just with how everyone was like reacting. Like that's I've never been to North Dakota. I have been to Minnesota once, and even then, I still wouldn't say like I know what Minnesota's like. But if that's how they act, like that's so unique and out there, and the how they were all like reacting to each other and how they are all talking to each other, like people would see like a dead body and their first reaction is like, oh geez,
Yeah.
like who does that?
I
Yeah.
think there's a big stereotype with like upper Midwest, and also in that kind of extends into Canada where it's almost just like they're very polite
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're very
yeah,
like matter of fact about everything. And so I think the fact that this was very played up in this movie just kind of adds to it, adds to the fact that this town is so dull and nothing happens here, but all these characters are super nice to each other and like super, oh my gosh, like
yeah,
not like you're not dealing. It goes to show that you're not dealing with somewhere like New York or LA where
Yeah.
these types of things normally happen. Like this is a shocking thing that's happening to this poor little dumb town
yeah,
Yeah.
that nobody cares about.
yeah, definitely. So I think this movie it did something fresh, at least for the time, and that's why I think it did work, just because it's not what you would expect from a typical crime drama comedy type movie. And that's my answer. So we'll move on to, do you think this movie could have worked in a different part of the US?
I said no, just for the fact. Well, I guess no. I'm gonna stick with no. Like the fact that the whole small town, um, I don't want to say innocent vibe, but I guess that's kind of what it is. The out of touch kind of thing you get from the movie or from the town of like I don't know how what I'm saying, but I don't think it can work anywhere else.
I don't necessarily think it could work anywhere else. I think it'd be interesting to see it in a different place, like maybe like Florida or Texas or just somewhere where you have a different sort of vibe. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking this movie was upper Midwest, like that area, but it would be interesting to see like a southern vibe. It'd be a completely different movie,
Yeah,
because I think the key that makes Fargo even begin to work is the juxtaposition of the plot and the apathy of the town. So it would it would be interesting to see it in a different region where they have like a different set of rules,
yeah,
um, but it would still make it a different movie. So
yeah,
yeah.
I think also no. I think I mean I like the idea of like expanding or like seeing what could have been in different areas for this movie or but I think the region was good because it's very isolated and it's almost like a laid back sort of mentality out there. Um, and I feel like if you took those characters and put them in a different region, um, I mean, obviously, as characters, if they lived in a different area, they'd probably be different people. But if you just took those characters with their personalities and shoved them in a different part of the country, I don't think it would work because, like Trevor was saying, the two, Carl and Gare, they're sort of incompetent, and I feel like that wouldn't fly in certain areas. Like they would get caught super easily. But since this is such a more of an isolated area, and the house that they went to was kind of just out there, and it's like nothing happens in this area and everything. It's just kind of like you can catch almost anybody off guard and kind of get away with it. And they did for a while, but obviously didn't get away with it completely. But I'd say no. I think it was good where it was.
It does beg the question, though, why the two incompetent thugs in Home Alone didn't get caught quicker.
Yeah.
Because it's a child's movie. That's just how the plot
has
wants
to
it
be
to
it.
be.
Because sequels.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, I think there's a possibility, not a strong possibility, but the setting would be super important. And I think anywhere else in the US, it would have to be the Deep South, and not just like near a big hub like Atlanta or something. Like it would have to be another small town where maybe education isn't so high, maybe where manners are super important in your typical life. But I think if it could work anywhere else, it would have to be like maybe in Alabama or Louisiana, just in like really small backwoods areas.
Yeah.
Because like if there's no charm, then you're changing the whole movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it would just become a probably a really boring crime drama that's already been outdone before it even started. You would absolutely have to have that sort of weird charm to it in order
Yeah.
for it to work.
I also think the region worked for the fact, their accents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being from the West Coast, I'm not really used to how they talk out there. So I imagine that's kind of how it is. Maybe not to the full extent, but it was kind of funny, but also intriguing to kind of hear how people from different regions talk.
Yeah.
Especially when you hear, the same language being spoken, just almost in a different manner. So
Yeah.
I also thought the way that the characters talked in this film was intriguing and entertaining.
Yeah, same. I think that's why it clicked for me. Just their mannerisms was
Mm-hmm.
such a weird, um, like Hannah said, juxtaposition to what was going on.
Yeah.
Like there's some very serious issues, and then you'd get like the reaction of, "Oh, geez."
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Little fella.
I have to say, just because I'm thinking of it right now, one of my favorite moments is like when Margie's looking at the bodies for the first time, and then she like suddenly leans over, and her pal or whatever is like, "Oh, did you eat breakfast, Margie?" She's like, "Yeah, it's just morning sickness." And then she gets up and she's all, "Well, that passed." It's just so quick.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
All right, so what's your take on the Mike Yanagita subplot?
I wrote one word. I put cringy.
Deep analysis by Gigi.
Wow, I never thought of it that way.
I thought it was interesting. I think it added um to Marge's right, Margie,
Margie,
Marge.
yeah.
Um, her her backstory, just like a tad. Um, pretty much. I don't know if you're gonna go into it, but it's just her needing this guy she had a crush on, and I think it was college, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and they meet up, and he kind of goes into the story of how he always liked her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I always liked you," kind of thing. And then he says that he got married to this one girl, and
Linda.
yeah, and then he died of cancer. And it seems like more of like he was for a reach out of pity, and she was like, "Oh, yikes, sorry to hear that," kind of thing. And like the next day, you um, see her talking with a friend that they went to school with, and she's like, "No, they never married." And then she's like, "Oh, really?" Like, oh, the whole thing was just like I told Trevor, like right when we like that scene passed, I was like, "Oh, she dodged a bullet," because like obviously there's something not okay with him. But yeah, it was just weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have 2 points about this. So when I first watched this movie the first time, um, I saw this scene as serving no purpose. Like it could have easily been left out. Um, because really, when I was thinking about it then, I was like, it's giving us a little bit more about her story, but other than that, like he's not important to this at all.
Right.
And so when I went into it this time, I went into it already thinking like the plot doesn't want any of us to be immersed in the characters' stories. Like I was saying earlier, it's like a police report. You're just getting the facts of what's happening. And so when I was thinking about it that way, I thought it was really interesting that she was, during the scene, she was kind of already like investigating him, as he was talking, because he was talking very nervously. And I think that, at least from what I saw, she could already tell like he was a little off.
Yeah.
and she asked him at one point to stay on his side because she felt uncomfortable.
Right.
And so I thought that was interesting because she's a cop. Like she's already sort of giving him a look over, even though she's not technically meaning to. But then when the friend calls about them never being married and him having like some sort of, little bit of, I don't even know if it was like psychosis or some sort of not togetherness with his life. I thought it was really interesting that she kind of took that, and then her next scene was her second time meeting with Jerry. And the second time she meets with Jerry, she questions him a lot more, because I think in that moment where she found out, like, yeah, Mike's not on the up and up, she kind of like realized that her instincts, although they were sort of there, were not completely genuine to her. Like she couldn't quite get past the, like, I'm gonna call it like Minnesota, like upper Midwest nice guy act that he was trying to put on for her. And so she wasn't about to let that happen again, I think. So when she meets with Jerry the second time, she starts questioning him more. And like, even though he's, cooperating with her and, telling her like, hey, I'm doing all the things. I cooperated. I answered your questions and everything. She's, sort of catching on more at that point because she realizes like he was putting on an act for me. I didn't recognize it the first time, but now I'm recognizing it now. And then he fled the interview. So she was onto him like that. So I think now, especially I think that scene serves a purpose more for her, so that she can break down that stereotype of the upper Midwest nice person, and it sort of, lends her a hand in solving or getting closer to solving the case. So I think it's an interesting take, but you really have to look for it.
Huh. Well, You really blew it out of the park with that one, because that's not what I
know.
was thinking. I was gonna
Right?
say, oh, it served no purpose whatsoever.
That's what I thought the first time.
Yeah,
Hey.
no, that really changes my opinion now, because now I see it more clearly.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I've only seen this movie once, so I think first time through, my first impression of that whole subplot was just, well, this is kind of pointless. I don't really understand where this is going. But yeah, I can kind of see how this Mike character sort of helps Marge, develop as a character. And the second time around with Jerry, she's much more, straightforward and really wants him to answer her questions. And Jerry doesn't comply and flees the scene. So yeah, I mean,
Play in the interview. Play
oh jeez, what did she say? She's like, oh gosh darn tootin' or something.
Darn tootin'.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Hannah really opened my eyes to that idea that I think Mike really served a purpose for other people in the story as opposed to himself, because I don't think he was really meant to be a character that anyone cared about.
Right.
But
yeah. I like the fact that like Kyle and I watched it for the first time, and this is like your guys' like.
This is my second time.
Second time.
So, yeah, we got you different point of views.
Yeah.
You done?
Yes.
Okay.
You done?
Yeah, I was with Hannah on this one. Mike, from what I got of it, was he was just like some creep that Marge didn't know but knew of growing up. And he seemed legit at first glance, but perhaps a little weird and desperate, but legit. But it's only until later where Marge learns from Valerie, her friend on the phone, that he lied about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Marge then reassesses Mike, which extends to Jerry, which you can see her little, maybe not like a eureka moment, but like this expression when she's in her car, like probably like a, now wait just a minute type of expression.
Yeah.
And then that's when she goes back to Jerry with like that suspicion. And then, so Mike's whole deal was just to kind of, I mean, since you don't really know these characters that well, the impression I got from Marge was, yes, she is the chief of police, so like she is good at her job, which you can see early in the film when she kind of corrects her, I guess, subordinate, the guy that she was with, and she's like, now I don't agree with your way of thinking or something like that. Yeah, police work.
I don't agree with your police work here.
Like, you can see that she is, good at her job, but I think she's very trusting of people. Where she kind of believes what they say because, like, it's a small town, and, like, why do you, like, people don't lie to each other in small towns. Like, there's manners and there's respect to each other. So, when she learns from her friend Valerie that Mike lied to her, she's like, oh, well, shit, like, who else has been lying to me?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of that's kind of the feeling I got from that. So, Mike was just a transition of Marge going from trusting to, I guess, second guessing, or maybe perhaps closely examining people.
A hard ass.
Hard ass.
Just kicking
badass
down doors
motherfucker.
For no reason.
She went from good cop to bad cop.
It's Margaret now.
Oh my god. That's good.
Eating for two.
Yeah, herself and justice.
Oh my god.
Okay, so last question, very quick. If you could sum up the film in one sentence, what would it be?
Norm was the best day.
Norm was the best way?
A. Like how they do the
Oh,
A.
Norm was the best. A.
Yeah.
A.
Norm is the best.
Yeah. He's my
He's a
favorite
good
character.
husband.
I love him.
Mine is a quote from the movie. It's, I thought I should call it in, so I called it in. End of story.
Oh my god.
Is that the guy that was washing his driveway?
Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
going.
He just
in
went
this,
on and on.
Long run-on sentence about what's going on.
Yeah.
It's probably nothing. Thanks for calling it in, though.
Yeah.
My one sentence is, I already forgot how to say the word, but it's this is it. It's I'm gonna need some unguent.
Unquint?
Unguent. I thought it was so funny when he was just like casually
Yeah,
just
he
shuffling
just-
through the medicine
Unguent.
cabinet. Need my unguent. He just went upstairs immediately.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Like he's been there before and he knows where it is.
Well, plus in that scene, it's one of my favorites because they finally break in the door. Like he's like, "You want to do it or whatever," and he breaks in the door. And
Yeah.
Carl sees that the window's open and starts running out the other way. And he just looks out the window and he's like, "Gonna need my unguent." And he just starts going through. Like, there's no connection between that. And then
Yeah.
Kyle said, he just has dumb luck that she's in the shower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, my sentence is bumbling idiots make a whoopsie. Which I think fit with the tone of the movie.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay, so this movie on Rotten Tomato at least, it scored a 94 with critics and a 93 with the audience. Do you guys
Wow.
disagree or agree with that?
Damn.
I agree. I think it has the makings. I don't know if it is or not, the makings of a cult classic, where it's
Obsessed by fans? Is that what you're trying to say?
no, like it's weird enough that there's gonna be a group of people out there that are gonna be obsessed with it, and like just having you guys have seen it a second time and catching on to like the different elements of the movie is like kind of intriguing. Like maybe I will watch it again and see if I catch on to something else,
Mhm.
which I think is usually given to like a cult classic.
So you're saying because Hannah and I read into it, it's a better movie?
Well, seeing as you guys caught on to things the second time you watched it, or like Kyle and I were like, well, we didn't know what to expect kind of thing.
Do you think that extends to movies like The Room?
No. Well, I mean,
That's debatable.
yes. I don't know. Like, the more you watch it, the more you quote it.
No.
And, like, there's other things that are weird with it that you're just like, ah, shit. Like, I didn't see that the first time, you know? I guess it just depends.
Okay, so it sounds like from what you're saying is you missed a couple things that maybe if you caught the first time you would have enjoyed more? Or
Maybe.
made you enjoy it more? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a funny story, Gigi.
I think for me, I don't quite agree with the 94%. I would put it down at like a 75%.
Whoa.
Oof. Shots fired.
Mostly- well, I mean, it's not. I feel like it's not something I'd regularly come back to. Like I said, this is my second time watching it. The movie's been out since 1996, so
Don't age yourself, Hannah.
You know, it's not-
Watch it 20 times.
well, I'm just saying it's not something I would regularly like pick out to watch.
What it?
But the movie has like that uninteresting feel to it anyways, so it's not like, I don't know, it's not something I'd regularly come back to. But I do want to say that I appreciate the divisiveness of the cinematography, which was all the framing shots and stuff that I was talking about earlier. And I also appreciate the inherent juxtaposition of the tone and the plot. You don't see those a lot in movies now, so I do appreciate what they did.
All right. Yeah, I agree with the score. I think, I don't know. I'm pretty lenient, and I can see a lot of the good in a lot of movies. So I think I definitely agree with the score on both sides. I think it was a very quirky movie, but it was also well written, and I think the cast supported the plot very well. I thought, the actors that they chose were really good, and it's one of those movies I know I'm going to watch again in the future. And yeah, I agree.
I would also agree. I think I really appreciate what they did with this movie, where I think movies these days are just trying to go so over the top with everything and like try to be better than that other movie that you saw.
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't go for that. They didn't try it. They made it their own thing where it's just, it's a film about well, we discussed what it's about, but um it's, I think, refreshing in a time where there's just fatigue with like all these over the top action films and stuff. Uh and the characters, I think, did a great job, or I should say the actors and actresses did a great job in their roles. And there's definitely some interesting characters, like Gigi said. Like Norm was amazing, and he was such a small part of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how often do you see where a white male is like just a secondary character, and like, he has like his own insecurities. Like he's an artist, and um, he's kind of bummed that his painting was only on the 3-cent stamp, and then it's the female character who's, trying to cheer him up, saying like, "Hey, when they raise postage, who are they going to need?
Yeah.
Not the 26 stamp. They're going to need you." Like they did the role reversal. Usually you'd see the male character with his shit together, and then like the female with the insecurities, and
Yeah.
so I think I really appreciate that moment. Like, so I agree with the um I guess either the critic or audience score. They're pretty close to each other.
Yeah, basically the same.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay, so on to our last two questions, which I knew about the whole time, you idiots.
Right.
This was a test.
It's only a test.
All right. The penultimate. What would you change about the movie?
I put more Norm.
Yeah, I would have liked to see his gallery.
Yes! I want to see his stamp. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yep, that's it.
Oh, okay. I only have one thing too. I would have left the based on a true story for the credits. I think
that's good.
both times that I watched it, I had in the back of my mind that it was based on a true story the whole time, so I think that sort of plagued me a little bit because I was, thinking about, oh my gosh, he's putting him into a wood chipper. Like, would someone really do that? Like, in real life?
Mm.
Or like, oh my gosh, he's basically asking these guys to kidnap his wife. Would somebody actually do that in real life? And that thought just kept coming back. And so I think it would be better, in my taste at least, to leave that part for the beginning of the credits. Like, before you mention anything like directors or anything, you just put based on a true story, because then you would have that shocker of, oh my gosh, this was real? You didn't have to think about it the whole time while you were watching the movie. You just get that bombshell at the end, and then you'll be like, oh shoot. Then you can like discuss it with your friends and all that without, having to think about it
Podcast.
beforehand.
Yeah, I think in a similar vein, I think that's why I liked it, the remake. Kind of weird, I know, but at the very end of the film, I haven't read it at this point. Like I have now, but I didn't know anything about the book, It. So when I saw the movie, the remake, of course, and they say at the very end, chapter one, like, oh
Mm.
fuck, like there's more to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shocker, right? Because
Yeah,
it's like at the end, and you didn't know. It's not like it said it chapter one at the beginning or anything.
right. If
Hmm.
it said chapter one, I'm like, okay, well, now I'm gonna have to see the second part.
Exactly. Yeah,
Maybe that's what
I
they
think.
wanted. They wanted you to think the whole time, like, holy shit, he's in a wood chipper. Like,
Yeah,
someone
but I
fucking did
mean,
this.
then you're not paying attention to what's happening because you have like a basic thought in the back of your head where you're like thinking about that.
Ah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I would have preferred it,
yeah, I think.
being at the end, but that's
Shocker.
just me.
Um, so I'm actually gonna say that I wouldn't change anything about this movie. I actually really enjoyed it that much that I feel like maybe if I watched it again, I could be more like, oh, you know what? Actually, I didn't really like this part, or this could have been done differently. But as a first time viewer, I genuinely enjoyed this movie through and through, and I wouldn't change a thing.
What a sucker.
I'm with Kyle on this one.
Oh,
I
what?
also wouldn't change a thing about the movie. I love. I'm not gonna say I love this movie,
I
but
love it
I
so
did
much.
enjoy it for what it was. And honestly, I don't think any change that I could come up with would improve it in any way.
Hmm.
Natural
Maybe
driver.
more Norm.
Yeah, more Norm. Like,
Yes!
just him sitting on the couch or something, watching TV or something, or
Yeah.
like,
And Marge comes home
yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I forgot about dinner, but it's on its way because it's pizza or something." I don't know. Norm stuff.
Nah, Norm was a real one though. He got out of bed after Marge persisted. You
Yeah.
don't need to make me breakfast. He's like, I'm gonna make
And
you
then,
breakfast.
then he did the
And
weird
then
cough thing.
yeah. And then I love how after she she was eating her breakfast and then she's like, I gotta go, so she left. And then Norm's like, all right, I'll finish her breakfast.
Yeah,
That
he
would be
just
me.
carried that bowl on over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I said that would be Trevor. He would make me breakfast, and I'm like, I gotta go, and he'd be like, all right, let me just.
That was my plan.
Don't mind if I do.
I thought their relationship was really, really sweet in the movie. It was very short, like you don't see it a lot of screen time with it, but I thought it was nice.
Yeah, same.
Yes.
Okay. And last one. What's your favorite scene or scenes?
My favorite scene was mentioned already by Trevor, I believe, and it's where Marge is comforting Norm. Um, well, like she asked him how the stamp, or whatever auction thing was going, and he said it's sold, and then like she was like, it's sold, like they were just so excited, and then he said, well, it's just a 3-cent stamp, and then she goes and comforts him, and it's like, well, if they raise the stamp prices, you're gonna need that 3-cent stamp, and like I don't know, I just thought it was sweet, and like Norm was just like having his little moment because I mean that's so big, his stamp's gonna be everywhere, so yeah.
That's also my favorite scene.
Yeah.
I have a few favorite scenes, so bear with me. I thought just from the opening soundtrack was really interesting to me because it sounded almost like something you'd see in like a spaghetti western or like a what was the other genre? Kind of like a
Noodle horror.
no, like a
What
fantasy
the fuck are
film.
you saying,
It was
Jay?
just like
This is making
it
fun
was
of
super
spaghetti western.
epic,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it totally doesn't fit the tone of the movie, but it wants you to think that at the beginning. So I thought the opening soundtrack was really cool because it's just so out there, and it makes you expect like this like high speed chase maybe, or like, you know, something's going on here in Fargo.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you know, it's just Fargo. I really like Shep's rampage. Like when he just goes in and starts beating up Steve Buscemi
Yeah.
and just like everyone in his path. That cracked me up. Got me good.
Yeah, and he kicked that hooker in the butt, didn't he?
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, man.
Just because his voice was so low and he barely said like anything, like "F you, F you." It's just like it was great.
Oh, man.
And we already mentioned the what is his name? Gret? Peter Stormare's character. Gare, yeah. Looking for the stuff in the medicine cabinet. That was funny.
Yeah.
I really like how Frances McDormand, who plays Marge, like never blinks when she's delivering a line. Just kind of added to the like every time she'd be like, "Oh yeah," it was just like no blinking whatsoever. It was just like, "Whoa, she's serious now." Oh man.
Oh, boy.
When Steve Buscemi's character Carl was messing with the TV, that made me laugh so hard.
Just the same fucking thing over and over. Come on, come on.
Come on. Like, yeah, I feel that, bro. Also, when Gare first shoots the officer on the on the highway, and like all the blood goes onto Steve Buscemi's face. He's just like, "Oh, daddy."
Yeah.
Where did that come from? He said it like 2 or 3 times, but I was just dying. I have a couple more. The Well That Passed, we already talked about. And I also really liked the top view shot of Jerry walking back to his car in the empty parking lot. I just thought the way it was framed was really cool. You know, it was just like those square banister things and then his one car.
Yeah,
You know,
he's parked in the middle of the fucking parking lot.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
not even in a parking spot.
Yeah.
And just him like walking out there lonely, it just kind of like really brought out the fact that he's just a kind of loser character to me. And I thought that shot was really cool. And then the last thing I have on here was the Garrett looking in 3 different windows before breaking in. Like, just not even attempting to hide himself at all.
Yeah.
Just looking in all 3 and then being like, okay, I'll break it. That
This
was,
one seems good.
was good stuff. But yeah, those are my favorite scenes overall.
Cool. For me, I thought there were like 2 shocking moments in the movie, and I want to say those are like my 2 favorite moments. The first one is when Gare just shot that police officer, and that sort of changed the direction of the movie for me, in a good way. Because then, you know, there's those bystanders that pass by, and then Gare just is like, all right, I guess I gotta go kill them now. So then he just, so as Steve Buscemi's just dragging the officer off the road, he's unsuccessful at trying to hide it, and then Gare just turns around, and it's like kind of like a high-speed chase, but then eventually find out that those 2 crashed, and he shoots the one in the back, and pretty sure that's basically the cover of the movie, right? It's just that guy face down in the snow with the flipped over car, like on the
So,
on
and,
Netflix. It is.
Marge is in the
Oh.
shot too, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I thought it was kind of telling of Gare's character a little bit, because he kind of comes off as like this incompetent fool, but he was a really good shot. I mean, that was like it it was kind of like super quick. He just pulled up his gun and then half a second later just pulled the trigger and got him right in the back, like perfectly right in the back. And then, he basically goes and executes the girl in the car. I thought that scene overall was, it was fun to watch. I thought it was a little intense too, and shocking just because I didn't expect them to just shoot that police officer. I don't think Steve Buscemi did either. But and then the other shocking moment for me, one of my favorite moments because it was, I like gore and blood and stuff. But when Gare takes a freaking axe and just kills Steve Buscemi right then and there. I thought that was pretty shocking because they're partners. But I wasn't seeing that coming. And then when Marge walks up to the wood chipper, I love how a couple times she's like, police.
Yeah.
she's like hands up, but he doesn't hear her because the wood chipper's on and it's super loud. And then eventually he just kind of looks up like, huh? But right before that, he takes a log and he's trying to shove that leg into the wood chipper further. I just thought it was comical, but also like super dark. And then, yeah, I think those two scenes really, really were the highlight of the movie for me. And then another thing that I noticed when I was watching the movie, on the TV when Carl was smacking it, and then later on when Gare was just watching it, it was still really fuzzy. But the person, I don't know who the girl was on the TV, but the guy that was on the TV was Bruce Campbell. And I was like, oh shit, that's Bruce Campbell. It was just kind of like a cool little Easter egg there. I thought that was kind of cool.
Come
But-
on. Come on.
Come on!
Come on.
But yeah,
Okay,
those,
so
those are mine.
I want to add one, and then there's one thing that I just thought of. So like Gigi said, the very end with Marge comforting Norm with his painting thing, and then also Carl and Gare driving, I believe, to the Twin Cities, Minneapolis,
Oh yeah.
and then I believe Carl asked Gare a question, and then Gare just goes no, and then Carl says, "We've been driving for 3 hours, and that's the first thing you've said. You can't you give me something else?" And then
Yeah.
there's just silence, and it's like that's a fucking fountain of conversation coming from you. Oh, you want to be silent? Like I can be silent, and then there's probably like 5 seconds of silence. I could be very silent. You want to play the silent game? I could do that too. And he just cannot shut up at all.
Yeah,
I feel like that's you and Gigi in the car.
probably.
No comment.
And then one thing while Kyle was talking,
Oh, yes.
how Gare was shooting that guy in the back, the one who's trying to run away from his flipped over car. There's a comparison near the end of the movie of Marge doing that same exact thing. Gare was running away, and then she just pulls up her gun. She didn't shoot right away, but she took her time, aimed, and then got him.
Yeah.
I think she shot once though and missed because
She shot twice.
Oh,
She shot
did
twice
she?
and
She
missed.
did. Yeah.
Okay.
I did like the fact that she shot him in the leg, so it wasn't like a kill shot.
Yeah.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
that was smart. Another sort of character, I don't know, reveal. It's like she's thinking about what she's doing at every moment, and I thought that was smart of her to not
Yeah.
kill him.
Well, not to mention, he is running away. Like, sure, she saw him pushing a leg down the wood chipper,
Right? Yeah.
but like he's running away.
Yeah.
Like, can you really go for a kill shot
No.
when your life isn't being threatened?
Yeah.
I mean, I think police nowadays would say sure, but
Oh
still.
god.
That's neither here nor
Anyway.
there.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Fargo.
That's how far we'll go.
Oh.
Nice.
Hey.
If you guys haven't seen it, I would recommend the movie.
Twice.
Twice, yeah. And Gigi, do you have the next movie lined up?
I don't know if you guys are ready for it.
I'll watch it. I'm down for that.
I it.
Of course you are. It's your pick.
Funny.
It's almost a room laugh.
I know. I've been trying to do it. I can't. It doesn't come out right. The next movie that we will have the pleasure of viewing together.
Pleasure's a strong word.
Oh, you'll feel
You
it.
haven't even
my
seen it yet, Kyle.
Anyway.
I watched it while we were doing this.
Oh, okay.
While I was talking specifically.
No.
Is Batman and Robin a Tim Burton masterpiece?
There go my 13
It's not
subscribers.
Tim Burton though. It is Joel Schumacher. He's the one who ruined it.
Joel did that.
It is not Tim Burton.
It is
It's
that.
part of his trilogy, isn't it, though?
No, he only did Batman and Batman Returns.
Lame.
Fun facts.
Should've been
Yeah.
there.
All right.
Also, I think subscribers or viewers, if you have a movie you would like us to watch, why don't you put it in the comments?
Or up your butt.
Or yeah, just shove it up your butt, as
Shove
Gigi
it up your
suggested.
butt.
Because she just hates you guys so much.
Our
Yeah.
one fan. We'll
I
put
was
Yeah.
one
voting
movie
The
in there.
Office, but it's fine.
And who knows,
Not
maybe
me.
we'll even think about watching your choice.
It's the one we veto.
We'll consider thinking about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So yeah.
But
That's it, right?
folks.
Yeah, that's Fargo. That's our podcast. And
Emphasis on
Discussion.
Fargo. You really
Fargo.
yelled that one into the mic.
want me to go louder?
No.
Pump it louder!
All right.
So, thanks for watching, bitches.
You scabba-da-boo. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah.
Darn tootin'.
Scabba-daboo.